This is something that took place back when I was in high school. I was a sophomore at the time, and I should mention that I have an older brother, but he was already in college at the time of this story. Every day, I would ride the bus home from school. It would stop at the end of my street, and then I would walk the rest of the way home and be back by about 2:45 p.m. Our house was about halfway down the street. One day, just like any other, I got off the bus, walked home, entered my house through the front door, and went inside. My parents were not home from work yet, as they rarely were when I got home from school. Sometimes on Fridays they would leave work early, but this day was a Thursday. I would be home alone for usually anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. I didn't mind, and would just do whatever I wanted, really. When I got inside, I had some homework to do that day, and I wanted to get it done and out of the way. I remember that I went upstairs to my bedroom to do it. We had a 2-story house, and my bedroom was upstairs. Probably like 30 minutes after I got home, I was doing homework when I heard a knock at the front door. I wasn't really sure what it could be. We didn't get people at our front door very often. I got up from my desk and walked downstairs to check the front door. By the time I got down there, I kind of expected whoever had knocked to be gone. They didn't knock twice or anything, but when I arrived to the front door, I saw that there was a man standing there. He looked pretty average. He was wearing what looked like some kind of business uniform and was carrying a briefcase. I unlocked the front door and opened it. The man said hi, and I asked him what he wanted. That's when he told me that he was some kind of insurance person. I really don't remember exactly what he said. He spoke kind of fast, and the only word I really remembered was insurance. He asked me if I was the homeowner. I told him no and said my parents were not home right now. The guy said sorry to bother me, and then bye. I watched him walk back down the driveway, and I went back upstairs to my room. When I got up there, I continued doing my homework. There was a window in my bedroom that overlooked the backyard. Maybe about 10 minutes later, something caught my eye out of the window. I walked closer to the window and saw the same insurance guy. He was now in our backyard. That's when I got a bad feeling. There was really no reason why he should be back there. I watched him walk over to where one of our back windows was. I saw the guy look around when he got there, almost as if he was trying to make sure that nobody was watching him. When he did, I ducked down below my window. I waited for a few seconds and then looked up again. The man was still there at the window. He set his briefcase down and then opened it. There were what looked like tools inside. He looked inside the back window, putting his hands up to the glass next to his face. Then he went back to his briefcase. He picked something up out of it and then walked over to another window and looked inside that one. After that, he returned to the first window that he had been at. I then watched him take the kind of tool, and I was sure that he was going to try to break in. As I watched the man putting his tool to the window area to do who knows what, I got an idea. My parents clearly weren't home yet, and I had no idea when they would be. So I ran out of my bedroom, down the stairs, but I tried to do it quietly. Then I got to our garage door that led from our pantry to the garage. I opened up the door and then pressed the button to open the front garage door. When I did, I carefully went to the doorway of the dining room and looked to the window where the man was at. I was just in time to see him scrambling away. I watched him run to the opposite side of our house. I then went back to the garage and closed the open garage door. I had hoped to make the man think that my parents had gotten home by opening the garage door, and luckily, it worked. The man ran into our neighbor's backyard, and after that, I lost sight of him, but I think he kept going. I kept a close watch on the backyard, and the man didn't return. When my parents got back, I told them everything. They were impressed with how I handled the situation. After that, the guy never showed up again, though. I'm glad he wasn't able to get into the house. About a year ago, I lived in an apartment by myself. I'm in a new apartment now, and the one I lived in last year wasn't the greatest. It was a small one-bedroom place, and I lived on the second floor. I had a very small balcony, which was nice. One night, I was by myself at home cooking dinner. I cook quite often, and I was at the stove in the kitchen. It was the early springtime, and the weather was still sort of cold out. I remember that I started to get really hot while cooking, which I often do. I walked over to the sliding door in my balcony at the end of my apartment and opened it. When I did, I felt the cool air rush in. Then I went back to work. Probably about 20 minutes later, I was still in the kitchen cooking. That's when I heard a noise. I looked over and saw somebody standing there in the opening of my sliding glass door. It was some guy. I didn't know who he was. When I saw him, at first, I was too confused and surprised to say or do anything. The man was just standing there. And then, he walked right inside and went into my bedroom. He then shut the door. Finally, I spoke. I yelled, "Who are you?" I yelled it again, louder than the first time. Whoever had just entered my bedroom did not answer me, but I did hear noises inside. I was still kind of standing in the kitchen, which is right by the front door. Then, my bedroom door started to open. When this happened, I opened my front door and left. I ran down the hallway into the stairs. I wanted to call the police, but it wasn't until I was at the stairs that I realized I did not have my cell phone with me. I had left it on my kitchen counter. Instead, I decided to keep going. I did not want to go back in there. I left the building and went out to my car in the parking lot. I sat inside my car and thought about what I could do. I considered driving to a friend's house or the police station or something like that, but I didn't know where the police station was, and I didn't want to go to my friend's house without letting them know. I didn't have my phone on me to help out with either of these things. After about an hour, I decided that I would go back inside my apartment. Whatever that guy was doing there, he was probably gone by now. I left my car and went back inside. When I got to my apartment, I opened the door and saw my whole place was all messed up. My stuff was all over the floor and furniture was all out of place. However, I didn't see or hear anybody. I saw that my balcony door was now closed. I went further inside, but as soon as I got to my bedroom doorway, I saw the guy again. I turned and ran out of my apartment. This time, I banged on my next door neighbor's door. I had never met my neighbors, but I didn't care. They actually opened, and I told them someone had broken into my apartment and to call the police. They actually let me inside their apartment, and we waited for the police to show up. When they got there, the man was still inside my apartment and was caught. He had taken my phone and had a backpack with a bunch of my stuff that he was intending to steal. I really can't believe that he stayed in my apartment for so long. He got in by climbing up to my balcony and going in the open door. I guess he had seen my door open from a ways away. I'm just glad he was caught. This happened back when I was in high school. It was the summertime, and my parents were going on a weekend trip with some of their friends. This meant that I would be staying home alone by myself for the weekend. I didn't really have any plans other than to just play video games and hang out. Our house was nice, but nothing too crazy. When my parents left, I thought that it was kind of cool I was the only one in the house. This didn't happen too often. I was enjoying it right up until the second night. It was a Friday night, and I stayed up pretty late. I'd been playing PlayStation and finally got tired at about 2 a.m. I turned off all the lights and got into my bed. When I was just starting to feel relaxed and about to fall asleep, I heard a noise. It sounded like a knocking at the window in my bedroom. It was quiet, but I was sure of what I had heard. I sat up in bed and looked around. Everything was silent now. I didn't hear anything, and when I looked to my window, I didn't see anything either. I thought that I was just being paranoid. I stayed up looking around and listening for a few minutes though. Without hearing anything, finally, I calmed down and told myself that I was just worried for no reason. I laid back down and closed my eyes. Within probably 5 minutes, I was relaxed again. But then, I heard the knocking once more. This time, it was louder and there was no mistaking it. I sat up faster and looked to the window. That's when I thought I saw something move out of sight. I really didn't know what it was though. I only saw it for a split second. My window was next to a tree, and I was just trying to tell myself that it was just a branch or something. Still, it didn't really seem like it to me. This time, I got up and turned on my bedroom light. Then I moved out into the living room. It just felt safer in there to me. I looked out the window. I didn't see anybody, but when I looked out to the street, I did notice a car there. It was a car that I had never seen before, and it was parked sort of in front of our house. I got really suspicious. I watched the car, wondering if anybody was inside of it. But then, I heard a noise coming from the back side of the house. It wasn't a knocking though this time. It sounded like somebody was trying to open up the back door. When I heard this, I ran back into my bedroom. I got in my bed and covered myself with my blankets. Then I called the police. I told them everything that had happened, and I didn't plan on moving from under the covers until the police got there. I was really scared. I tried my best to just hide and distract myself until then. The whole time, I didn't hear any loud noises or anything. Finally, when the police arrived, I got up, but what they told me gave me the chills. They said that when they arrived at my house, they saw a man running away out of the backyard. When they got around, they saw that the back door was open. That meant that the man was able to get inside. I hadn't even known. He ran away when the police got there, but his car was still parked on the street. He ended up being located within the hour, and I felt much better after that.